Alright guys, so it's been about a year since Cyberpunk 2077 released. It's been a little bit over a year at this point, and I think we can all safely say that we expected the first year for Cyberpunk 2077 to go a lot better than it did. Unfortunately, after all this time, the game still isn't really in the best shape, and it still hasn't really gotten any major updates or super great content for it over the past year. So players are still pretty upset, and we're kind of just waiting for something to happen at this point. However, we do have some good news because it looks like we can expect patch 1.5 to be probably the most ambitious update to Cyberpunk 2077 yet. It looks like it's going to be a very soft relaunch of the game, and it could potentially change a lot for this game. Now, going into this video, I do want to just say that this information is pulled from the recent leak that came out last week, and a lot of this is just speculation. A lot of it is pretty much rumor in terms of how official it is, so take all of this with a grain of salt, because some of it may happen, some of it might be embellished and exaggerated. So don't get too hyped or get your hopes up too much about any of the stuff we're going to talk about in this video. But pretty much for this video, I want to do something a little bit different than just read off the patch notes to you guys, and like a lot of YouTubers are doing, and just kind of, I kind of want to dive into the patch notes, but I also want to expound upon what I think myself and a lot of the players would really like to see from a lot of this stuff talked about. So this is going to be kind of a wish list for patch 1.5, and we're going to kind of talk about some of the stuff that I think a lot of us want to see coming into this patch, and hopefully what some of this stuff in here might mean. So once again, let's dive into the leak. So it starts off by saying CDPR will do a big live stream around February to reveal the patch, the Cyberpunk anime, and the first expansion. Now, we're not going to talk too much about the anime in this video. I kind of want to do that in a whole separate video. So let's just kind of go through some of the patch stuff first. Now, it starts off with the promised free DLC will be bundled in and includes 4 new weapons, new game plus, apartment customization, new gigs. And then there's also a ton of small stuff like Judy and Panem sending you more text messages during the course of the game. So yeah, that stuff is pretty exciting. That's probably the smallest stuff that we're going to touch on in this video. But for the most part, that's what we've been kind of expecting to come out all year long. We've been, expecting them to drop this stuff all year. They kind of announced a lot of this a long time ago. So it looks like they just said screw it, and they're just going to throw all of the previously promised free DLC that we're still waiting on into one big patch and just release it, since they didn't manage to deliver on getting it out throughout the first year. So yeah, in case you're wondering what to expect from this stuff, expect a lot of stuff like how they recently added in the new car and a few new jackets and stuff. Expect a bunch of those, like just packaged all into one update. So yeah, that'll be a good amount of new content with this patch right there. 4 new weapons definitely sounds good. The game definitely needs some new weapons. New game plus also sounds great because especially for those of you out there who want to do some builds and stuff, I'm super excited about that. And then apartment customization, I'm going to keep it real with you guys. This is one of the things I've seen a lot of people ask for that I'm just not excited about. Personally, I don't really, my opinion on it is I would rather see CD Projekt Red not waste time on something like this, because personally the apartment doesn't really serve too much of a purpose in the game. So I'm not really too excited to see it, if I'm being honest. But yeah, we'll see what they do with that. Maybe they'll make the apartments more useful in some way. And then of course we have new gigs, which sounds cool. Hopefully with some newer mission structure, with some funner mission structures. I really would like to see them kind of evolve the gigs into more complex missions and stuff, kind of littered throughout the map. Maybe more individually made side quests instead of kind of a copy and paste of a side quest from a different area. That would be cool. But then we get over to the small stuff like Judy and Panem sending you more text messages. Now that's okay. That's not really a big deal. I don't think anybody was asking for too much. I've seen some people care about that type of stuff, but for me, once again, it's like I think we should be focusing on more important stuff. But one thing to keep note of in this little note here in the leak, it does say tons of small stuff like Judy and Panem sending you more text messages. So just take this part with a grain of salt, but I speculate that there's going to be a lot of very small details added to the game. Now, it says small stuff like that, but we don't know if it's just talking about all text messages. I imagine it's going to be other small things. I don't know like what. I'm guessing like maybe a few new dialogue options during quests and stuff. Maybe they're updating a few quests little by little. It is important to remember with Witcher 3, CD Projekt Red did have a habit of actually updating quests and stuff without really announcing it in any of the patch notes and stuff. So like there were literally like new dialogue options and new scenes and added to The Witcher 3, and players didn't find out for a while. So we could potentially expect a few more stuff like that. Basically some more character development throughout the course of the game and stuff. Maybe even a few new dialogue options. Hopefully we get something like that. It sounds pretty cool. Now, let's move over to the meat and potatoes of this video, the part that I'm really excited about when it comes to this patch. I'm just going to read this little note off here. The new patch features barbershops, a garage, improved AI, transmog system, a complete rebalancing of the loot system, and new UI. Oh boy, that sounds amazing, guys. This is what we're going to spend most of this video breaking down right here, because this is what we all really care about. Now, with the barbershops, I'm not sure if it's just going to be a barbershop or if it's going to be a full way to customize your entire character over. I know a lot of people just want to be able to completely redo their character, so hopefully they don't pull something stupid on us and like make it to where you can only customize the hair, and hopefully they just allow us to like recreate our whole character mid playthrough. That would be really good if they did that. That would go really well with the new game plus and people who want to do different builds and stuff like that. I think that sounds really, really exciting, so I'm excited for that. Now, the next part is the garage. Now, hopefully this comes with vehicle customization. I imagine the garage is just going to be like near V's apartment where you have to go and pick your car up for the first time after you kind of wake up in the landfill. So yeah, I think that's probably going to be the garage. We've kind of seen that in a few of the trailers and it just didn't make it into the full game. So hopefully there's going to be more vehicle customization, but I wouldn't get my hopes up too much about that just yet. I'm thinking they're just going to give us a cool place where we can kind of go into our apartment and kind of, go down to the garage there and just see all of our vehicles lined up and pick whichever one we want to drive. It honestly seems like they're slowly but surely trying to make the apartment a more useful location that you may go back to a lot more throughout the game. But I think they're going to have to do a lot more than this, because we can already kind of call our vehicles already as it is pretty effectively in the game. So I personally don't see, I kind of find it hard to believe the garage is just to see your vehicles. I'm thinking there's going to be more to it. I'm hopefully some customization, but once again, I don't want to get my hopes up about that. Now the transmog system. Now this is pretty much, for people who don't know what this means, this means that you're pretty much going to be able to kind of customize your character a little bit more how you like. Like for instance, if you get a really cool jacket that you like, we all know how Cyberpunk's loot system kind of screws you over in terms of customizing your character how you want to. Something has a higher strength level or whatever, and that's going to just make it to where you want to, put the thing with the most armor on instead of what you actually like. So now this new updated transmog system seems like it's going to allow you to kind of just keep the look you want, but upgrade the clothing items a lot more effectively. So if you get like a ugly jacket and you have a cool jacket, you'll just basically be able to kind of merge the cool jacket with the ugly one and give the cool one the stats from the uglier one that's a bit more effective. That's basically what it is for people who don't understand. You'll just basically be able to customize your character a lot more how you want to. You won't have to look ridiculous anymore. So I think that's a good thing that a lot of people want to add it in, so that's good to see that that's in here. Now, this is the one that I'm really excited for, improved AI. Now, they just say improved AI. We don't know how the AI is improved. We don't know to what degree or anything like that. Some stuff I'm hoping for, better reaction times and stuff from the AI. I'm hoping for, somewhat more immersive tactics and stuff. Like I want to see more flanking happening. I want to see them rushing and falling back, kind of taking cover a little bit more effectively. Stuff like that just to make the combat a lot more immersive and kind of just fun and kind of more of a trade-off, because on the higher difficulties, the AI kind of doesn't really pull through as much as I think people would like it to. It kind of just, their damage goes up, but they don't really get any smarter. And hopefully that's what they mean when they say better AI. And you guys know, for anybody who watched my old channel for a long time, one of the things I'm excited for going into next gen is improved AI in games. I think that's going to be the next step for gaming, and I think that's going to take games to the next level in terms of how fun they are. So hopefully they do a good job with changing the AI, but if I'm being honest, I don't want to get my expectations too out of line. I want to kind of just say that this is probably just going to be the AI getting a little bit smarter, and maybe even a few new weapon types or stuff will be added in. Maybe some enemy types, who knows? But once again, we don't want to get our expectations too out of control on that. So yeah. Anyway, moving on to the next one, which I also am very excited about, rebalancing the loot system. Guys, this is something I've been asking for since day one with Cyberpunk 2077. I cannot stand the loot system as it currently is. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time harping on this because I think I'm going to end up making an entirely new video kind of going over what I want to see from the Cyberpunk loot system and loot systems and games going forward anyway. So I'm not going to harp too much on this, but I'll just say this. I would like to see something done that's very similar to what Ghost Recon Breakpoint did with its immersive mode and how that changed the loot system. Basically, to give you a quick rundown, instead of picking up different variants of every weapon, I would love to see it much more where you pick up weapons once and you'll be able to customize them. Now, I don't think that's going to be what happens here with Cyberpunk's loot system at all, but hopefully they rebalance it in a way where it's just a lot more rewarding to get loot and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Loot's more rewarding. It's a lot better, and you're not constantly picking up stuff that's weaker than what you already have, or that's just not that useful overall and stuff like that. Hopefully they rebalance it a lot well, and maybe even rebalance it to where you find more loot that kind of goes along with the play style that you currently have based off of your skill tree and stuff like that. That would be pretty cool. Now, moving on to the stuff about the first expansion, because that is included in here as well. Now, it says the first expansion is going to take place in Pacifica, and apparently this expansion is going to be pretty big. So it says you walk around and do quests in what is called the combat zone. So for people who don't know, in the Cyberpunk 2077 lore, Pacifica in the lore is also known as the combat zone. It's pretty much the part of the city where the police and law enforcement don't go because it's just that dangerous. It's pretty much completely gang controlled, and a lot of gangs go there to actually wage war on each other and fight stuff out, make deals, all types of crazy stuff. So it's basically just this insane area where nothing but chaos is going down constantly. So it's supposed to be a very action-packed part of the city. Obviously not what's in the game right now. Pacifica is pretty dead when you go there now. But anyway, back to the cool stuff. So the combat zone is being fought over by two new gangs, the Bozos, violent clown psychopaths with a sick sense of humor, and a gang called Slaughterhouse, violent psychopath fascists. Now, these are also two gangs from the lore. I'm not going to go into their backstory. You can look it up if you want. Maybe I'll do a video on them later on, but for right now, you get the point. We're getting two new gangs, and for people who don't know, these two gangs are pretty intense. I would say, I would compare them to Maelstrom in terms of their creepiness and just how intense they are overall. So I think that's going to be a very cool addition to the game. And it also goes on to say walking around the combat zone feels very inspired by the game Stalker. Now, I never played Stalker, but from what I understand, I did a little bit of research on the game to see what it was like. It basically looks like a horror version of Fallout, so that's pretty exciting. Now, let's just kind of give our thoughts here on this first expansion. Now, once again, this is rumored. This is not confirmed to be what the first expansion is about. But I also want to point out that we don't get that many details here. I mean, it sounds cool, but it doesn't explain much from the perspective of gameplay. You know, such things such as like how intense is the gang warfare going to be? Is it going to affect how you move around the Pacifica area? Is it going to be hard to move around in Pacifica? Are you going to have to go there and move on foot basically? Are you going to have to, is it going to be safe to drive around? Will you get ambushed by random enemies patrolling the streets and stuff? How are there going to be a bunch of gang skirmishes going on all over the place? Or are you going to want to think about packing more ammo with you when you go? Stuff like that. That's stuff I would hope we get to see from this expansion, but we don't know yet. We don't know, okay? So take that with a grain of salt. I'm hoping we get to see stuff like that, but once again, it doesn't really give us that many details, so it's kind of hard to know. Also, there's mention of a Gwent-like minigame where it's pretty much the hacking from the Cyberpunk lore, but in the form of like a minigame. Not going to talk too much about in this video. We can do that a different time, maybe. I'm not that interested overall. And of course, they also talk about the anime, but once again, that's going to be for a different video. And then lastly, it does say the second expansion is in the early stages of planning, but will only release if the first expansion is a success. So they have a lot riding on that first expansion. We don't know when we're getting that. I would imagine the Combat Zone expansion may come this summer, so like around June, July. That's my prediction. But yeah, overall that does sound really cool, but I don't know. They didn't give us a lot of detail. So once again, I do want to just say, guys, that all of this is just a leak. None of it is confirmed, so take it all with a grain of salt. However, a lot of it does sound really cool, but once again, it's very void of details. We didn't get a lot of it explained in these leaks. They're just kind of bullet points, so take them with a big grain of salt. So overall, that's all I really want to say. I just kind of want to talk about this with you guys. It looks really exciting. But yeah, overall, tell me what you guys think about it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave comments down below telling me what you guys want to see from this patch 1.5. Like, what are you hoping is in this? What are you hoping some of this stuff in this leak means? I would love to hear you guys' opinion. But overall, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you on the next one. ZFR out, guys.